The Editor-in-Chief is live in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, folks, welcome to the program. August the 20th. You're with Duncan, Garner, Editor-in-Chief live with Lester's Oil, your multi-ingredient omega-3 healthy aging supplement backed by thousands of satisfied customers. Get the benefits of 6 supplements in one capsule to support joint, heart and brain health. Take as directed. These things work. Read the label. About Health Auckland. Nice to see you, folks. I'm Duncan Garner. Welcome. We'll look at the population debate this morning. 5.338 million. More women than men, and the women are older than us. But they're growing... we are growing fast enough, so it seems we're not having enough babies. But God knows I did my bit. Brad Olsen will look at the numbers on this one as well. And what did you sign up to and agree to? A woman dies after eating at one of Disney's restaurants, and her husband signed away all their rights much earlier and unknowingly. This is a real warning story, so we'll look at this. And it's Supermoon Tuesday. Are you excited? They're actually more common than you think, but they had me at Supermoon. The rest is history, okay? So stand by for that. Jump on the YouTube or TikTok, leave us a comment right in front of you there. It's news time, and here's Media Works Deputy News Editor. It is Grace Cogger. Very good morning.
Scientists believe global warming may have contributed to a freak storm that sank a super yacht near Sicily. A New Zealander is involved. At least one person is dead and 6 others are missing, including British billionaire Mike Lynch. 15 people have been rescued. Alcohol-related health conditions are clogging up resources at the country's hospitals. University of Otago's Dr. Anya Mizrak says it makes for grim reading.
We estimated that around 900 deaths, 29,000 hospitalisations, 129,000 ACC claims and over 1,200 cancers were due to alcohol.
There'll be an increased police presence in Auckland's Pakuranga Heights today. Investigations into the shooting of a man who died after being found injured inside a vehicle yesterday morning continue. Police are still urging people with information to come forward and are still looking for the killer. Extra police are being called in to help with the investigation into Auckland's meth-laced lollies. About 75 have been accounted for so far, with 44 recovered. Police are also processing CCTV footage from the city mission, but say it will take time to work through. A new report has revealed how many lives are impacted by a workplace incident in New Zealand. Author Shamabel Yaqub admits to being stunned by the result.
We found nearly half of New Zealanders have some effect either to themselves, to their families, friends or colleagues, which is an extraordinary statistic.
To sport, Mount Smart will be renamed Shaun Johnson Stadium this week. Friday night will be the Warriors legends' last NRL home game before retirement. The 33-year-old's already emotional.
I actually don't really like to think about it, to be honest. I'll just miss it. I just know I'll miss it. I already have the feelings of what it's going to be like coming here for one last time this weekend.
The team to play the Bulldogs is named at 6 tonight. Kiwi fighter Dan Hooker spent an hour in hospital after Sunday's impressive win at the UFC 305 in Perth. Hooker's sporting some nasty gashes on his face, but told the Mac Life podcast he's coming home in good shape.
So no fractures, no broken bones. It's all just superficial and I heal like Wolverine.
Hooker says he's keen to fight number 2 ranked lightweight Charles Oliveira next. That's news and sport.
Good stuff. Thanks, Grace. Imagine if Shaun Johnson didn't make the team. The team gets named today.
That would be
Shaun
awkward.
Johnson Stadium, he's on the sideline. No, they'll pick him, won't they? Hey, I had this debate with my mum last night. Two red wines a day. She reckons it's good for her. I sort of said, maybe pull back a bit. But she's, no, it's good for today. They said it's good for me. They said.
There has been the long, urban
Isn't
legend,
it?
right? The little
stats
housewife tale.
I know, but those stats that you came up with today. Whew.
Oh, and look, we've all had moments where we've definitely probably had one or too many that we shouldn't have and ended up injuring ourselves or feeling really grim, or it's taken a toll on your work or something along those lines, right? We've all kind of done it.
But she made out to me it was medicinal.
I don't know. 2 red wines a night would have me snoring on the couch within probably 5 to 10 minutes of consumption. I'd just be out to it.
Yeah.
I don't mind a beer though.
Oh, she's quoting all sorts of things.
I love a low carb beer at night.
Yeah,
that's
do
my
you?
problem.
Is it you?
I do like a Spate Summit. I'm a Southern girl.
Oh, you're a Southern girl. Yeah. Okay.
Duncan Garner, live.
2 red wines a day, is that medicinal? New Zealand's estimated resident population was provisionally 5.338 million as of late yesterday. There are 2.681 million women, 2.656 million men. Apparently, we aren't in the saddle enough. We need to have more kids. For the record, I've done my bit. For this country, I've done my bit. Women outnumber us and outage us as well. The average age woman about 39, slightly younger for men. Brad Olsen, chief economist at Infometrics, has crunched the numbers. And what's he found? Brad, g'day. Nice to see you again.
Good morning.
I love a good population stat and a good population debate. Are we doing okay?
Oh, I mean, the population numbers are still sort of going up, but they're also not going up as much as we might have thought before. Net migration having changed around quite a bit in recent times, and so we're now still seeing some pretty high levels of migration, but not as high as a year ago, down about 45%, in fact, from the peak. So the population growing faster than normal, but slower than peak. But you're seeing as well, when you get move away from just the migration piece, when you look at the likes of births and deaths, both of those numbers fell last year. In fact, the total fertility rate fell down to 1.53. Now, you want 2.1 on that figure to get you into that sort of position where you're replacing the population. So if we didn't have those big levels of migration, we'd definitely be looking into that position where the population is aging. We're seeing over time more people dying. We're not seeing as many kids come through. That is a bit of a demographic time bomb that at some point is going to burst.
Yeah, and so we're trying to replace it at the moment with the Band-Aid, which is immigrants. So you bring them into the country and you sort of mask it. You mask it, don't you? And you've seen that in the numbers. But can you keep masking it? Because immigration isn't always strong. I mean, it goes through ebbs and flows as it is now. And we've had plenty of people come in, but now it's slowed down a bit. So what happens next?
Well, and I think that's the challenge, right, is that not only that, but increasingly there is going to be a lot of competition for that migration, particularly across the developed world. New Zealand is not the only place that's sort of struggling to keep our birth numbers at anywhere close to that sort of replacement rate level. And that means that across the world, everyone is going to be saying, well, look, I haven't got enough kids coming in. I've still got a lot of people that are aging out, both of the workforce and then eventually out of life. What do I do with it then? Well, across the world, you're going to see a lot of places that are looking for migration. Little old New Zealand might find that there is a lot more competition, and so we have to either fight a lot harder or we just won't see those same population levels. So it is going to be a real change. I mean, even at the moment, you look at sort of population growth for the 60 and older group over the last year, 2.4%, only 1.6% for the under 60. So we are aging. We're still seeing a much bigger group of over 60, over 65-year-olds and similar. It really is a big demographic shift. And Duncan, I think the big thing here is that 20, 30 years' time, New Zealand does face the prospect of having a lot more people leave the workforce than are coming in. That means that either we're going to have to use automation a lot better, or we're going to have to get used to doing a couple extra jobs than what we're currently doing.
Yeah, so this is about superannuation as well, isn't it? This goes up every year, the numbers of people on it, and also, of course, the cost. Brad, I don't need to tell you this. And what does it mean, therefore? How many workers will we have in the future per retiree? Because I know the number's quite stark, isn't it?
I think if you go into sort of the 2050s, 2060s in New Zealand, you could have sort of only 2 workers supporting every retiree. Now, you go back sort of into the 80s, and I think you had sort of 6. Maybe four to 6 workers supporting every retiree. Now, the difference there is, like you say, is just financial. I mean, at the moment, we spend as much on the likes of super as we do on the entire education budget. I think we spend something like 7 times what we spend on defence on superannuation and similar alone. So these are some big numbers. Now, we can afford it, but it means some trade-offs, because if we afford that, there might be other things that we can't afford quite as much, and does suggest that because we're living longer, because we're working longer, maybe there is that argument to be made about why we need to think about lifting the age or changing the eligibility or doing something, because I sort of feel like saying, oh well, we set the last set of age rates back in the 90s and 2000, so we'll just leave it there and never revisit it again, is slightly behind the times.
Yeah, and we've lost in the last year especially a really good base of taxpayers into Australia and also further afield as well. Now, these people may not return home. I mean, they may find that their new home is where they settle now, and it may not be here.
Well, absolutely. And I think the other sort of challenge as we look through some of those migration figures is that some of the people that have, because I mean, net migration is still positive, right? It's just that the people that might be coming into New Zealand now, they might be here for a bit, they might be here for a couple of years, but if they eventually then head off back to, wherever they originally migrated from, and we know that's quite a common trend that comes through, then at the same time, you have this loss of New Zealanders that New Zealand is currently experiencing. Like you say, they might not actually come back. And so you could sort of see a case case to be made by 2026 or so, net migration could be effectively flat, if not actually slightly more people leaving than coming in. That again puts us into that much more difficult position of where do we find our talent, where do we find that tax base, how do we continue to sort of move the economy along, because these population trends are huge. I mean, the fact that, again, that birth rate at the moment, 1.53%, down from 1.6 the year before, far below that 2.1 births that you want to see for replacement rate, says that we really are in that much more constrained population sort of outlook.
We need to have more babies. We need a call to arms. Who's the political leader? Okay, folks, we need you this weekend to get on the job. We need a call to arms, don't we?
Well, in a sense, it's difficult, though. I mean, politicians telling people to have kids never goes down well. And to be honest, you look at some of that economic evidence, and it's sort of hard to make that sort of call that actually, doing a lot of economic stimulus or support would actually enhance the number of people having children. There's often a lot more to it. I mean, I talk to my friends some of them are weighing it up, some of them are super keen. Others are sort of keen to stay well away. And some of that is financial, but to be honest, some of it is also looking at the world, looking at the environment, but also looking at just the risk in the war and all the stuff going on and saying, do I really want to bring a kid into this? So there is more to it than just the economics, but let's be clear, it is expensive to have a kid, so that's also not the easiest hurdle to get over.
What do they put the number at? I mean, in terms of having a child, what is the number that economists use over a lifetime? I don't know if I want to hear this or not, but anyway.
I'd hate to know. I haven't looked at the latest numbers, but it would be exorbitant. I mean, you just think of it, all of the food and similar that you're having to bring through, all of the nappies, all of the clothes and what have you that you have to buy all the time. There's a lot. Schooling, education, early childhood, thinking about if they're going off to university or not, how much as a parent do you help them, transporting them around, all the fuel to get to sports practice and school. There's a lot that would go into it. There's a lot there.
I'm about to collapse. Does it matter, final question, does it matter that women are older than men in the country, 39 versus about 38, 37? Does it matter, average age?
I suspect that that's probably more a function that sometimes blokes are a little bit more, shall we say, gung-ho when it comes to doing stupid stuff. That means that we sometimes die a little bit younger, so that skews the average. So I think it's more that it might be better if we pull our heads in a bit as males, and go and talk about stuff and think things through before we take too many rash actions.
Yeah, I was just joking about the last question. My last question is this one: does it matter? Is it important that there's more women than men, or more men than women? Do the sort of authorities keep an eye on that sort of balance?
Oh, in a sense, we do. I mean, it does make some important sort of distinctions around the sort of healthcare services you provide and other services that might come out and similar. But it's not too skewed either way at the moment, and that probably doesn't worry us too much. There's always a bit of variation either side.
Good on you, Brad. Love catching up with you, mate. All the very best. Take care.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
Duncan Garner, live.
Yeah, lots of feedback here. James said, Duncan, childless, married couple here. I'm now too old to even think about reproducing, so I can't take the call to arms. Sorry. Okay, mate. I've taken one for the country. This is Brad Olsen. My wife and I are expecting. Congratulations. Good on you, mate. Congratulations. Duncan, do not lift the retirement age. I don't have that power. Lifting the age punishes Māori who live shorter lives. Yeah, well, not just Māori that have short lives. We spend more on super than all of the treaty settlements added up. Yeah, that's true. And how many on super really need it? Well, it's an entitlement, isn't it? Right. A very good morning.
3 questions from the Editor-in-Chief.
Okay, number one, this could be out of Ripley's Believe It or Not, but believe it or not, crime is down 35% in Auckland CBD thanks to some really specific and targeted measures. Well, theft and burglaries are down 35%. This doesn't mean you feel 35% safer. People and police presence matters, I think, in the city. Those who are returned to the city say it seems safer when there's more people in them. That makes sense. And number two, how are those live sheep exports going out of Australia? Terrible. 80 sheep died on the latest live export via plane from Australia to Indonesia. Not a great result for anyone. Thank you very much. Australia is actually banning the process of live exports from 2028, and that date can't come soon enough for the critics. Too late for the 80 sheep. But this is an industry that does affect their reputation. You see, New Zealand's in the process of legalising live exports again, which seems to go against the tide, as other countries are going the other way.
3.
And at number 3 today, let me go there. At number 3 today, how do you feel about driverless trains? They were delayed in Sydney because of safety concerns, but now it's all go. Around 200,000 people clamber on board with these things each morning, and there is no driver in sight. It's all AI and computers running the show. What could possibly go wrong, right? And we've designed them so we put our fellow men and women out of work. This is the modern approach, you see, we aspire to. No driver, no one to get out of trouble if you get into trouble. Would you trust it? Is this a good or bad step for mankind? Good morning to you.
Duncan Garner, live.
So a man has filed a lawsuit against Disney after his wife died from an allergic reaction after eating at one of their restaurants. But Disney says the lawsuit should be dropped because, well, he once signed up to their streaming service, and deep within the terms was an agreement to settle any lawsuits against Disney out of court. It's outrageous, but it's legal, completely legal. Be honest, when you click I agree on a subscription service, do you read the T's and C's? I don't either. So what would happen if Disney tried this here, and what else might you have signed yourself up to and for? Senior lecturer at Auckland Law School, Joshua Uvaraja, joins me now. G'day, nice to see you.
Yeah, how's it going?
Yeah, good. Welcome to the program. This is a trick for all of us, isn't it?
Yes.
This is a real warning sign, isn't it? Just on the specific case, do the people have a point, or is Disney in the right here?
Difficult to say. The Supreme Court in the US has tended to be quite pro-business in sort of upholding quite an expansive view of these clauses. It is going to court in October, and we just have to see what happens from there.
Yeah. So we sign up to how many of these things would we click in our lives? Heaps of them, wouldn't we?
Oh, and I'd venture to say most to all of your listeners would just click into something. If you have an iPhone, if you have a Google account, if you've got a Spotify account,
insurance.
Yep. If you want to watch The Mandalorian.
yeah. So we don't even know what we're agreeing to. What sort of things are we agreeing to? Do you know?
Well, this is the thing. Companies will engage lawyers to prepare these very lengthy terms and conditions, and they know that you are going to sign up to them. There's no functional bargaining power. You're going to walk away if you're not going to sign up.
Well, we have to click it, don't we?
Absolutely.
Because it takes you to the next stage, yeah?
Absolutely. So a lot of us will probably not know what we're signing up to. In New Zealand, actually, interestingly, the High Court recently ruled that Viagogo, the ticket retailer, was actually had a clause in their contract with any person who purchases a ticket that said that any disputes need to be settled in Geneva, in Switzerland.
Oh my goodness.
But the High Court said that is an unfair contract term and it can't be enforced in New Zealand.
But it's an unreasonable term, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and so the Fair Trading Act has a specific phrase called unfair contract terms, which gives the High Court the power to say you can't rely on that in New Zealand at least.
So we can use that to not contract out of these contracts, but we can use that to test these contracts?
Yeah, well, you can, and individual consumers can't. The Commerce Commission needs to bring an action on behalf of the consumers.
Right.
We've had 3 cases in New Zealand, including Viagogo. 2 of the other 2 have been in relation to high credit lenders high interest lenders.
Yes.
And so the court basically, as you said, tests these clauses against a particular test and then says, well, are they unfair? Are they not fair? Are they fair? Can they be relied upon?
Is that Viagogo still around, is it? Are they still around?
They are, yes.
I thought we were doing something to them. I thought we had sort of clamped down on them, or we were doing something.
Well, they're still, as far as I can tell, still sort of third-party retailers. But yeah, certainly it's preferable to purchase your tickets from
See, most New Zealanders wouldn't feel armed and have the power to hire a lawyer and to get legal advice. They sort of just go with it and take the hit, don't they?
Absolutely. It's and that's not a New Zealand specific thing, but certainly most consumers wouldn't be in a position to challenge a lot of these terms and conditions.
Yeah, and I suppose even with a mortgage, the fine print on mortgages, especially insurances and mortgages, I find that the fine print. Who reads an insurance contract?
Well, and the difficulty with insurance is that if you've potentially said something unintentionally false, you've sort of potentially opened up the door for the insurer to say, well, actually, we're not going to honour the claim because, hey, you didn't tell us this factor. The law is developing on that, but certainly, yes, terms and conditions on insurance contracts are another big issue.
Are there honest mistakes in those things?
There can be, yes, and so I guess it's a question of assessing that, and insurers probably wouldn't want. I'm sort of speculating the sort of PR issues of denying every claim, but yeah, insurance contracts, mortgage contracts. There's a lot of contracts we sign that we just don't know the terms and conditions.
Yeah, that's
of.
right. So, what do you recommend people do? Because if you're going to recommend they read it, then
well,
it's pretty harsh.
I wouldn't actually say this is with the consumer. It's actually highlights the issue with the law, and that's where probably the rules that have developed on when we bind people to contracts, were developed in a pre-digital age, and they're just probably not as fit for purpose as we'd like. So it's more a question for, does Parliament need to do anything? Do the courts need to change the law? That's probably the question I'd say.
This is also part of this whole push for plain language. You know, this simple language, and this goes out to it goes out to lawyers as well, because law is very archaic at times, and
absolutely.
And so you need this plain language. But I wonder how far that can actually go, because plain language actually is useful, because that's how people talk.
Yeah, it's difficult because as a lawyer, your job is to cover every eventuality. And so it makes sense that you would go to say be quite detailed. But I guess the balance is, well, is that actually achieving what we want? Our court's going to uphold it. So it's a fascinating situation. Have
you looked at some of the contracts around these streaming services?
I know my colleagues have, and other colleagues have, but I'm aware of these, particularly these arbitration clauses, which is what happened in Disney. They said that you cannot bring a claim in court. You have to go to a private dispute resolution service. And that's the thing. It's private. So nobody knows what happens there.
No, that means they can sit around the table, offer you $5,000 and kick you out the door.
Well, you've got a third party who has to assess that and it makes a decision. But yes, nobody would know if it was $5,000, $50,000, $1 million.
Right. But it keeps the litigation away, you see. So the expense of, in front of the court, but also in front of the public court, you see, as well. So.
Yeah, and it stops bad precedent from being developed that would then, potentially affect the company's business.
I tell you what, it really is David and Goliath, isn't it? It really is that we're the big boys and we will always be the big boys.
Well, we'll see what happens in October, but I wouldn't be holding my breath.
Yeah. Hey, nice to see you. Thank you for clearing that up for us. And and people watch the warning. Just be aware.
Be aware. And but we have to wait for the law to change. I think.
I think so too. That's where you come in. Appreciate it. Nice to see you. Thank you so
very
much.
much.
Okay. Good morning to you. 0800 863 293 is the number. The line is always there. Right, the blue sturgeon supermoon will be on display tonight, the first supermoon of the year, and it's not only celestial but shining bright at the moment. Saturn and Venus are close, so if you know where to look and the weather behaves itself, you should be in for a real treat. But you've got to know where to be and what to look for. Here to tell us more is the director of Tuhura Otago Museum, Ian Griffin. G'day, Ian. How are you?
Good morning. Pretty good, actually. It's a lovely day down here in the deep south.
And that's nice. Nice and clear, is it?
Yeah, beautiful. I actually was watching the moon as I was driving down the Otago Peninsula, and it was just setting over the city. So it's a really beautiful sight.
You meant to have your eyes on. Ian, you meant to have your eyes on the road. How many times have I got to tell you this? Your eyes on the road. Okay, must be hard for you. What are we looking for?
Well, the supermoon happens because as the moon goes around the Earth, sometimes it's closer to us than other times. So some moons are closer than other full moons, and that means they look bigger in the sky. So a supermoon, according to astronomers, is when it's the closest of the full moon. And during a supermoon, the moon can look 14% brighter and 30% brighter and 14% bigger. So tonight, when the moon rises down here in Dunedin, it rises just after 6:30. You'll see the moon against the horizon, and it will look quite big. Now, that's something called the moon illusion, which the moon always looks big when it's near the horizon. But this particular moon is a nice one to see, and we've got really good weather, so it's certainly worth looking out for.
See, 30% bigger is, because it's big anyway, so 30% bigger, it's quite impressive. I think I have seen this off Te Aratu Peninsula a number of years ago. It was really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, the moon is a fantastic thing to look at, and if you've got telescope or binoculars, you can see all the details in the craters. Now, tonight, when the moon rises, about an hour later, below and to the right, you'll see a bright yellow star. And that's actually not a star, it's a planet. It's the planet Saturn. So, and that is amazing to look at. If you have a small telescope at home, you get to see its ring system. So you can use the moon tonight as a finder for Saturn. And then also, on the other side of the sky, as the moon rises, you'll see a really bright, stonkingly bright thing, and that's the planet Venus in the western sky. So there's lots out there for stargazers to enjoy at the moment.
And so the diehards will know what they're looking for, won't they? The diehards will know what they're looking for tonight, and that's really good advice. So you'll need a telescope, though?
To see details on Saturn, yes, you'll need to see a telescope to see the rings. And if you look at Venus, you'll see it looks like a gibbous moon, a sort of a waxing moon. It's very, very beautiful as well.
Wow.
So, looking at the planets and looking at the moon is one of the fun things you can do from this country. And certainly with the weather we're having down here at the moment and the predictions for tonight, I'm looking forward to it.
But this is quite amazing because you've sold it well. You've sold it really well. You're a good salesman because what you've got the moon and 2 planets off our sort of back door, on our doorstep tonight. How close are they in terms of, miles and light years and all those things?
Well, the moon is about 1 light second away from us. So that light traveling at 300,000 kilometers a second takes about a second to get to the moon. Whereas Venus is probably about 30 minutes away, and Saturn would take light several hours to get to us.
Wow.
So they're all different distances. And that's one of the fabulous things about events like this. You really do get a sense of scale in our solar system, and you get a sense of how small we are and unimportant we are.
Yes. But that moon's close, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Certainly is. And fingers crossed, within a couple of years, we'll have some astronauts at least orbiting the moon. So it's getting to become really exciting times in astronomy and spaceflight.
Now, when will be the next time that this happens? I mean, how rare is this?
Well, supermoons happen 3 or 4 times a year. So the next three supermoons, the next 3 full moons are all supermoons. The blue moon is a bit rarer, and you get maybe one of those every couple of years. And then this whole sturgeon moon, that comes from a northern hemisphere thing where the Native Americans basically saw this full moon in August as the time to go out and hunt the sturgeon and stock up for autumn. Well, of course, that doesn't really apply down here because we have opposite seasons. So maybe we should call this one the snow moon after the snow we've had for the last few days.
Where's the best place? What time tonight? And where's the best place to view this? Do I need to come to Otago? Do I need to jump on a plane? What's the deal?
Oh, no. You can see the moon from pretty much the whole country as long as the sky's clear. As I say, the moon rise is always brilliant. And down here in Otago, the moon will rise over the ocean, and that's fantastic to see. That's about 6:30 in the evening. But as it's full moon, the moon is highest in the sky around midnight. So anywhere it's clear tonight, you can go out and see this moon and just reflect on the scale of the solar system, and also look out for Saturn below and to the right.
I'll make sure we do that. I want to run something by you quickly because this happened to me over summer and it was just gorgeous. It was absolutely astonishing. I've been waiting for someone like you to come on. I was fishing off Omaha Beach, and his sun had gone down and the moon started to come up. It was right on the horizon coming up, and it just started to appear out of the water and then just lift itself up like this and then over. It was the most, if that's the last thing I saw and my life ended right there, it would have been an astonishing image to go out on. And so that's just a normal occurrence, right?
Yeah, that's right. And that's the most amazing thing about our atmosphere. I've seen the moon rise and it looks like a mushroom coming up. It sometimes looks like an atomic explosion. And that's all because the moonlight, when it's really low in the sky, is passing through thick layers of our atmosphere. And the atmosphere basically distorts the image of the moon. So it's fabulous. So if you do have a chance tonight, you've got a front row seat on the eastern side of New Zealand where you see the moon rise over the ocean. That is a fabulous sight and definitely worth looking out for, even if it's not a supermoon.
Yeah, no, good stuff. Hey, lovely to catch up with you. Thank you so much for all your advice and help.
No problem.
Okay, cheers then. Ta-da. Take care.
Duncan Garner, live.
Isaac coming here, mate, Forrester. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Oh, it's awesome, mate.
I mean, do kids go to the stargazing enough? Do we do this with our kids anymore?
Well, I personally do. I love a good sunset.
Oh yeah, you do.
I froth a good sunset.
Oh, you're a frother.
Yeah, yes, always. So, because I'm born and bred in Christchurch, so I'd always go on little Port Hills missions.
Lovely.
Go watch the sunset over the city.
Yes,
beautiful.
Almost romantic.
Maybe this moon is a good opportunity for some Aucklanders to kind of get out of the city a bit and. Because we got all this light pollution, so
we have got the light pollution.
Go out somewhere, maybe drive an hour away and see what it looks like from out there.
Driving an hour away is just the end of the road usually in Auckland at rush hour.
Yeah, that's true.
I would go somewhere out the back of Bucklands Beach, out there east.
Oh yeah,
east there, head out to Maraito, something like that.
Yeah, I used to spend quite a bit of time up at Sandspit. Was nice for stargazing.
But have you seen you know what I mean when the moon comes up? It is beautiful, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought lovely. Well, you can go for walk on your own tonight, little guys, or what do you?
Yeah, or maybe I'll go with Forrester. Who knows?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Oh, it'll be a full moon, all right.
It's the Slam Dunk.
Yeah, okay, so New Zealand's driver licensing regime and process remains a bloody shambles, despite the government stepping in to fix it up. If this is what they call fixed, then imagine if it was broken. It's simply taken far too long to get a licence, and people are having to fly or drive to other cities to secure a timely booking to sit the test. Otherwise, it's months and months and months and months of waiting. It's a bloody shambles, and surely we can do better. I mean, a driving instructor has said this morning that one of his students drove 500 kilometres, to sit the full test because the wait times are so long where he lived. There were no spots available for months. Alistair McGregor, he's been running the county's driving school for 20 years. He said that the man drove 6 hours from Pukekohe to Dannevirke. He drove to Dannevirke for the test. That's where the Vikings are, yeah? So he drove 6 hours to get a test. It's bloody ridiculous. Earlier this year, the government announced that it was scrapping unlimited free resits for driving tests in a bid to cull these long wait times. It hasn't worked. There's got to be another answer. Usually it's about putting more people on or letting other agencies undertake the tests. You see, it's really simple for me. Just resource the bloody thing properly. It may not have occurred to recent governments, and I include this one on this, but the population keeps increasing because we open the gates and people flood in. Guess what? That means more people want their houses, more people want schools and hospitals and doctors' visits and driver licensing test appointments. And they buy cars and they need a licence. So you stop the stupid experiment where we consciously have settings that allow more than 100,000 people to come in every year, so our economy gets bigger, but we don't follow the funding. 15 people waiting for 10 slots becomes 45 people waiting for 10 slots. You get it? So we're going to have government settings that boost the population. Well, fund it alongside it. And if you aren't going to seek a public debate on it, can you at least remember to build new roads, put on more buses, hire more driving instructors, because the status quo is idiotic. It doesn't work. And we don't want to wait in queues by design. You've designed these queues for us. We'd rather you fund the mess you created. Stop eating your lunch at Parliament, fluffing about and wasting money on silly things, and do the important stuff first. So start population funding across all sectors. I think you'll be shocked how much you need to put in to make up. And that sums up what we're all experiencing right now in the real world. Long queues, wait times that do your head in, and ultimately reduce people's standard of living. It restricts how productive we can be as a nation too. To the politicians, this is your job. Take it seriously. Stop doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Think creatively. Hire more people, whatever it takes. Laying people off when the queues exist seems really, really odd to me, but there you go. That's politics.
Duncan Garner, live.
D. John said to Duncan, we bring too many people in. Yeah, but we've got to replace the ones that are leaving, right? Hello, Forrester.
I had to wait 7 months.
No!
I just gave up. I stopped doing it.
Did you drive the car anyway?
No, well, I have got it restricted, but I'm kind of just giving up on like the full because I don't need it in the city, and it's 7 month wait time.
7 months?
Either that or I might just go out to Thames.
Well, piece of advice that I got from my driving instructor.
They let you drive?
Oh, yes. Yeah, somehow.
On occasion.
But I do have my full licence.
Yeah.
And my defensive driving instructor gave me this little tidbit of advice, because when I was going for my full, there was about a month and a half wait time, so about 6 weeks, which is still way too long.
Yeah.
And
better than 7 months.
Yeah, better than 7 months, though. And they said to me, if you look on the website, Tuesday evenings and Wednesday mornings, that's whenever there's a cancellation at some point later in the week. If you look at that time, that's when the slots open up again. That's
tonight.
when they make them available.
Oh, really? Okay, that's really good.
I
tell you, you're not just a pretty face. You bring news you can use.
know my stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and also walks with the Supermoon.
Oh, yes, always.
Yes.
So, yes, I got there was a 6 week wait time, but then on Wednesday morning I looked and I got a spot exactly 1 week later.
Wow, have you tried it?
I didn't know that trick.
Bit of common sense for us. I hope you listen.
Jump on the website tonight.
Yeah, tonight. Yeah. Well, you'll be far too busy working properly.
Yes.
Because you're at Media Works and you work 24/7. Duncan, in a nutshell, I belong to too many streaming services, so I've signed up to everything. Thank you, Internet. Duncan, plain English, it works. Duncan, I used to be into astronomy, so I might go out and have a look tonight if the Manawatu sky is clear enough. What's the weather doing tonight? Because you need clear weather for all this too, don't you? You need really clear weather, so make sure it's clear. Otherwise, Duncan, come to Tokoroa. Super easy test, only 2 month wait times. There we go. There's the advice. Tokoroa. I mean, it's only 2 and a bit.
Go all the way to Tokoroa.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's not too bad. That's probably worth it. I was going to go to Thames.
You come back there, or would you stay and buy a house and Tokoroa? No,
possibly.
Well, why
Probably
not?
can't afford one in Auckland, so.
Will we ever be able to? Duncan says, Dave, they haven't fixed anything. No, I bet they haven't anyway. So that is us. Thank you for your feedback today, and thank you for joining us. This will be available as a podcast on Rover shortly, or wherever you get your podcasts. And thanks for your feedback and your support. I'm Duncan at rover.nz. To my team, Isaac, chipping in really well. I'm really enjoying you. Yeah, great man. Thank you so much for everything you're doing. Forrester, you're A1. You're brilliant. Miranda, brilliant. Zarina, thank you so much. We'll do this all again tomorrow. Remember, life is no dress rehearsal. There is no curtain raiser. This is it. We live in one of the best places on earth, so get out and enjoy it, and good luck in your licence. Take care, folks.
That was Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief Live. Missed something on the live stream? Text Duncan to 3598 to listen back on the podcast. Want to get in touch? Call 0800 863 293.